views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey everyone, I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. Welcome to Open BXRX. Here we go. Coming up on today's show, we'll speak to a director, producer, and founder of a production company to learn about her latest project. Then we'll highlight the work of a real estate broker who has had profound impact on Harlem real estate and beyond. After that, we'll stay plugged in with the producer of a podcast that is shining a light on marginalized groups in media and entertainment. Plus, Bobby C has the latest in the world of sports. And then finally, we'll hear from a multidisciplinary artist and improviser who is creating experiential art for her viewing audience in more ways than one. So stay tuned. You have a seat at the table. We're wide open. Here we go. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Dr. Bob Lee, and you're watching Open. It's that live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off, our first guest is an award-winning actress, writer, producer, director, and dancer, and the founder of M.A.A.T Films. She joins us to speak about her film production company and shine light on upcoming projects. So please welcome to the show, Nadhege Ptah. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome, Dr. Bob Lee.
How are you? What have you been doing? I haven't seen you in about a couple of years now.
Oh, God. The last 2 years, we all had to figure out how to be creative and learn to pivot and do things differently. Mm-hmm. So I would say before the world had to be at a standstill and have to face an epidemic, I was finishing up my last film festival for Paris Blues in Harlem, which you were in, and you did a fabulous job as the drunk man.
Oh,
who can rhyme, right? So I think my last festival we did about 23 film festivals for Paris Blues in Harlem.
Yeah.
And it was in New Orleans. And then the following year I decided to take a vacation on my solo return, which is my born day. And then I returned and there was this discussion of Corona. I was out of the loop in terms of the news and everything. And I returned and 2 days later, the world shut down. I made it by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah. Wow.
But I had an audition, which was not weird, but I arrived, when I arrived back to New York from Guadeloupe, I had an audition the next day for Showtime for City on the Hill with Kevin Bacon and Aldous Hodge. And I did the audition. They wanted someone who could speak Haitian Creole and to play this immigrant. And my family is from Haiti. So I was like, yeah, I can do that. And to have a convincing accent. Yeah. So I auditioned and then I came back outside and it wasn't too far from Trader Joe's on 72nd and Broadway. Yeah. And I couldn't understand why there was a long line because I was so out of the loop from the news, what was happening. And I said, forget it. I'm not going to Trader Joe's. And I went home and then kids came home and they're like, mommy, mommy, mommy. And I'm like, my mind couldn't process what is happening? Because I'm relaxed. I just came back from vacation, the sun, the beach, good food.
Yeah.
And then I don't watch the news, but then my husband's cousin, who was there from Virginia, because she was assisting with watching the children while I was away. And then the news just happened to be on and entertainment industry shut down, sports shut down. And I was like, whoa, I better pay attention. what is happening. So I didn't think anything of it in terms of the audition. I said, well, forget it. I will never hear from them. And miraculously, actually during the shutdown, months later, it said I landed the part.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, what did you have your monologue? How did you sound? I'm curious to see how you would sound.
In terms of the accent?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember the lines, but let me see. Let me see. What did I have to say?
But they wanted.
Okay, I remember that line. Toussaint is his middle name. Toussaint, because they were saying Toussaint or calling him some other name. But if you want an accent, I can speak an accent like my mother, because she still has the accent and she's been here for many years. Like my mother calls Ethiopia, she goes Ethiopia. It's like, no, mom, is Ethiopia. We're going to Ethiopia. We like to go to Ethiopian food, so it's Ethiopia, or instead of saying buffalo, she says buffalo. Buffalo. Yeah. And the is always pronounced with the D, they, duh,
Right.
because.
So tell me, what is inspired you to become a multidisciplinary artist, actress, producer, etc.?
Wow. Actually, my first artistic discipline was dance, and I didn't see myself doing anything outside of that.
Yeah.
I think I got derailed because of family expectation, like, oh no, you're going to be a doctor or something, like not a dancer. So I majored in psychology and got my master's in psychology, but I reached a crossroad and I went back to the arts, and I wanted to do dance and drama in high school, and I had to choose one. So this was my opportunity to study drama, right? After graduate school.
Drama, psychology, I think it all makes
it all, yeah. So I decided to study drama since I already had the dance training. And then from then on, it was I had an audition for all female cast, and we had to write our own piece.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a writer. I'm not going to do this. But I had to.
You learned right away, right?
Well, I wrote poetry. I just didn't claim it. It was a thing where there's this perception of what writers are based on what society tells you. So I wrote poetry, and then I got reviewed for my work. And they reviewed me not only on my performance, but they reviewed me on my writing. And I said, it's like,
here we go. That's another avenue.
This could be something there. And still, it took probably many years later where there was ideas brewing in my head. And then I wrote my first short film.
And nothing easy. Talk about some of the challenges, because they're going to move me right along.
Oh, yeah. Of course there's challenges, because you have to learn the craft. You might have raw talent, but you have to learn the craft. So in learning the craft, you have to be okay with making mistakes. You have to be okay with failures. So, one of the things is, like, when you're honing the craft, is also identifying your voice. And once you learn it, you have to also let it go.
Let it go.
It doesn't so technical, So many failures along the way.
But failures, you learn those failures, but then you come to your proudest moment. What was that? One of your proudest moments in this business?
One of my proudest moments in this business? Oh wow, there's many. I would say when I decided to enter the business and be an artist, I would say my proudest moment is achieving, being able to be in a lot of the productions that I've been, from Color Girls, booking Reading Rainbow, and having a tour Southwest and Midwest, and just unexpectedly not expecting that I would win awards. So that really shocked me. And I think when I produced my first short film in one of the festivals, I attended it was the last day. I just attended, and they were honoring people, and then my name got called, and I was totally shocked because I
Yeah.
didn't expect it, you know? So
Yeah.
I would say my proudest moment is is the achievement and the steps along the way.
In 30 seconds, you got, and that's beautiful. I love the way you're moving. It's going to get bigger, bigger, and better and better. What is M.A.A.T, M.A.A.T Films, and you have the upcoming events you'd like to share with us?
M.A.A.T Films, yes. There's it's actually Dodo TT, which was produced by M.A.A.T Films, is being screened at the Conch Shell Film Festival. And Paris Blues in Harlem, I forgot to tell you, since you are in it, we did get another distribution deal.
Woo!
Comcast for the
Yeah.
Homestead Entertainment.
All right.
That was surprising because this is my second time with Comcast, which, you know, NBC owns Comcast.
Yeah.
So it'll be screening on their platform. And then we have another one, which is Quality TV.
Yeah.
Quality TV, which airs in most of the African diaspora market, Brazil, Africa. So we got a distribution deal with them. So this is we have about 4 distribution deals that happened with Paris Blues.
You
So
are worldwide. All right.
Well, you know what? I really want people to know about Sam Hargreaves. You know, he transitioned.
Right.
The pandemic. Unfortunately, because Paris Blues was his lifeline.
Yeah.
And I knew once that shut down, I was like, oh, and I tried.
We need a whole hour to talk about this, but do you have a lot of this on your website?
Yes, I have it on my website. I have it on the social media platform, but I am embarking on putting the history on the metaverse world.
Oh, good. Okay.
Which,
Let us know.
Yes, I will let you know.
Know where you can go to the website, and then we can go from there. So
yes.
Give me a hard wrap right now, but give me the information on the website. You can put everything up there, and we can just follow you and do all the things that you would like us to do, following your wonderful career.
Thank you. A reflection of you, Dr. Bobley. You know, you have a wonderful career. Yeah. My website is www.maatfilms, MAAATFILMS.net, or my name, www.nadegeptah.com, which is NADHEGEPTAH.com.
There you go.
And they're connected. So yes.
Thank you. Nadhege Ptah and M.A.A.T Films. Nadhege Ptah, multidisciplinary artist and founder of M.A.A.T Films. It's a beautiful thing. We're going to talk more, right? You always got to come back. You're always welcome.
Yes,
you have a seat at the table.
Thank you. Please put some food there.
Everything's going to be set up. It's a table for 2.
Thank you, my brother. Have a good one.
You too. All right, we'll take a break right here. More Open coming up next.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at bronxnet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Doc Bobley, and our next guest is a real estate broker, founder of Foxworth Realty, and an executive board member of the International Federation of Real Estate. She joins us to speak about her work in real estate here in New York City and beyond. So please welcome to the show, Eugenia Foxworth. Eugenia, welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure.
Now, are you working out of Harlem at this point?
Okay, there's 2 things, if I can make a correction. I am the president of the International Federation of Real Estate for the United States.
Yeah.
My office is on 125th Street, so I'm right in Harlem.
Right there in Harlem. Okay.
Yes.
So tell us how you got started with this, and tell us what you're doing and what you're working on.
I got involved with real estate because I was dissatisfied with real estate agents. I owned a fine arts gallery in Manhattan on 65th Street. had flooding, and decided to go into real estate, not to work, but to get my own space. I went into Harlem when I opened my, when I decided to get my broker's license, and that was in 2008.
Yeah.
And what was the rest of your question? Why did I do it?
What you're doing in it, within it. I know you're working
within it now. Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, I've turned that into not just selling real estate, but helping people maintain their properties, helping people acquire properties, not necessarily mine, but educating them on it. I also, because of being a member of FIAPSI and being the president, I'm also on the FIAPSI US FIAPSI organization's board of directors.
Yeah.
And I'm giving scholarships to those within the community who have professors that we give free membership to at the various colleges, universities, etc.
Yeah. I heard about your reputation.
Oh, I'm glad. I hope it was only one good part.
Yeah, you
The
work
other
outside
part-
of the box. Explain that. But you get the job done.
Absolutely, I do.
So where did that term come from, out the box?
Because I've never done what people have expected me to do. I dance to my own drummer. And thanks by the grace of God, I don't have to rely on other people to enable me to do what I want to do. So out of the box is, you know, not what most real estate professionals do.
Yeah.
I give back more than most. And that's why, you know, my being in Harlem, I help people, Brooklyn, etc., wherever they need help. Whereas most people concentrate on the normal professional, you acquire properties for people, or you sell them properties. I try to save properties.
I love it. How did you start Foxworth Realty?
I was working with someone. When I say working, one of my international real estate colleagues' daughter from Germany interned with me. In Germany, you need 4 years. And at the time she was with me, she said, why don't you open up your own company? Well, I was actually getting out of real estate, but maintaining my broker's license, you know, I had gotten my associate broker's license, and I was just going to hold on to it. And then when the bottom fell out of the economy, I was so lucky being out of the box. I opened up I decided to get my license, hang my shingle, and the company where I was hanging my shingle, they stopped building. Someone with the city of New York said, oh, I know a place for you to go into. And that was Harlem. And that's where I went. I went into a place in Harlem in front of City College. That was it.
I remember a lot of the brownstones up there, they were practically giving them all away. But now the real estate up there is like, it's like off the chain there. It's like if you're able to get something for $1 back then, or
yes,
that's what they pick for, or the regular brownstone price of about what, $250,000. Sometimes you get them for $50. Now they're worth like $3 and $4 million.
Well, one just recently sold for 6.5 million.
Woo!
And that was announced this week. Yes.
Did you sell that one?
No, but I wish I'd known the person. I would have definitely.
I know that's right. How many locations do you have?
I have only one location, and that is in Harlem. And I moved to 125th Street.
I love it. Okay, you're right here in our neighborhood, but you have that international audience too. Tell us about the International Federation of Real Estate.
Well, we're in 70 countries, and therefore we are different. I was never a Girl Scout, so we're different. And we have helped people. We're an ECOSOC with the United Nations. So we do consultation with them. And we are trying to get, developers to give affordable housing spaces. Before I became a member, when I was following them around, not knowing who they were because of the education that I was getting from them and the way that they work, they had actually, one of the members had gotten together colleagues as well as one of the major financial institutes, and they turned a slum area in Nicaragua into affordable housing. So we are out of the box as well. We're also a part of the United Nations Habitat for Humanity. So these are things, and basically in the States, there may be, I think we have 300 members, whereas worldwide, there are over 3,000 of us. But we work in partnership with some of the major corporations, real estate professionals like NAR, et cetera.
Yeah. What information would you like to convey to people, first-time home buyers or investors, people who want to buy commercial properties?
Well, first of all, I think that you should research and find the best professional real estate person that you can talk to and, educate yourself. And that's why I'm trying to get scholarships into the universities for every aspect of real estate by having one professor, whether he's an investor, whether he's in management, whether he is an architect, any aspect of real estate, of which there are 40 different professions, so that these students can go back within their community, even as lawyers, to educate the people. Right now, the lack of knowledge of real estate is like when you get on an airplane and people that can count from 1 to 10 can't find their seats. They're like, oh, where is this? It's like your mind is blank. So to me, education is most important. Make sure you have a commercial real estate that is separate than a residential brokerage company.
Right.
I do both commercial and residential. Some of my agents do not know commercial, even though we're trained. Get a professional.
Yeah, there's a lot of this on your website. Give me your website information so that we can follow you and learn more.
My website is Foxworth Realty online.com.
Thank you so much. Eugenia Foxworth, thank you. Yeah, real estate broker, owner, Foxworth Realty Incorporated, NYC. And that international title right there. She works in Germany and just about all over the world, right?
Yes, I do. The connections are there, and that's what sells our properties. Those who come from outside of the country are big investors within the community, especially commercial.
Yeah. Eugenia, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all of this wonderful information. And we'll take a break right here. We'll come back with a whole lot more next right here on Open.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Welcome back. Our next guest is a host, writer, and producer of Underground Magnolia Podcast. joins us today to speak about the goals behind her podcast and to shine a light on other projects that she's working on. So please welcome to the show, Desiréia Valteau.
Hi.
Desiréia, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Have you been in the business some time and you're doing a lot of wonderful things in the arts? What is the meaning of Underground Magnolia and what inspired you to create that?
Underground Magnolia, actually my daughter came up with that name for me. But I am from New Orleans, Louisiana, and the flower is the magnolia. So Underground Magnolia, in the sense that I'm coming at you, flowers are delicate and nice. And, and when we hear magnolia, still magnolia, they're tough women. So there's like double meanings. But with Underground Magnolia, it's like I'm going to reel you in with my topics, and they will then hit you over the head with wait a minute, wow. So Underground Magnolia is just making sure that people know that I have something serious to say.
Not only that, the good food from New Orleans.
That's right.
Yeah. So talk about some of the content that you're producing right about now.
So what I am producing right now, a lot of podcasts, people are forced, you should focus on one topic, but I'm like, well, why can't it be like a magazine where, you open up a magazine and you have several topics. So I've been doing different shows focusing on Black women and women of color. So of course I interviewed the wonderful Melba Moore, who is a legend.
Yeah.
I've interviewed another Southern African singer from Botswana, Lorraine Lionheart.
Oh yeah.
One of my latest shows.
You just performed for Queen, didn't she?
She has performed for the Royals, and that's coming up in the summer. Where she will be part of the Jubilee.
Oh, beautiful!
That's coming up in June.
Excellent.
And so my other topics, I've interviewed real estate agents, beauty entrepreneurs. I've also interviewed Cynthia Hardy, who is known throughout the Atlanta area and beyond for her leadership seminars and her book. So I'm covering, mental illness, mental health, and a lot of African Americans in particular and other people of color who are not used to, dealing with mental health. And, it's kind of like, you don't need mental health, you just need to go to church and that sort of thing. But what we have learned about through COVID is that, that, hey, we do need help. So that was kind of an impetus for getting people, especially Black people and other people of color, to get mental health. And it's like, and someone explained it to me, if you have to go to the doctor, look at your mental health situation as the same thing as just going to a doctor because you have a problem with your heart or your arms or something.
Well, it's a stigma. So a lot of people don't want to be associated with having to go to the doctor for mental health issues or anything like that. So yeah, I can understand why people are like suppressing it, sort of, kind of. But yeah, you need to check that out too, as long as along with all the physical aspects of your body.
Yep,
mental health
definitely.
is important. Yes. So what are some of the topics covered by the Underground Magnolia podcast? You mentioned some of them. What are some of the others?
A series that I've started, and I want it to be an ongoing series. It's called Chasing DNA and Family Roots.
Yeah.
So, so that is a huge thing. Of course, since Roots, the actual television show back in the late 70s, early 80s, that spurred a lot of African Americans to start looking for their roots. And really, we haven't stopped looking for our roots. And over the years, there have been many other instances where we are propelled to look at our roots. And coming from New Orleans, which was the at one time the largest slave port, there's just so much history there. And even though I grew up there, it was like, shh, don't talk about that. Shh, don't talk about it. Even though, we're looking like I look, you have people of all different backgrounds. And, when people watch the Cosby Show, it's like, nobody looks like that. It's like, have you been to New Orleans?
Yeah.
We are all different colors.
Exactly.
So I really didn't start to find out about New Orleans history until I moved away to the Los Angeles area. And then I started going back home to visit my parents. And I would go to the French Quarter, and I would go to the docks, which we call the moonwalk. And then I started being like, oh my God. So when I was there just recently in November, I went to the spot where Solomon Northup was actually sold. He's the subject of 12 Years of a Slave. And I stood there and I took pictures and just took it all.
What was that feeling? Knowing that you come from there and knowing that all of these things were going on in history, didn't some sort of feeling come over you?
I mean, it definitely makes you think about where you come from and what all this means and why was it suppressed? Why? And it's still suppressed, of course, with all the recent people not wanting to hear about critical race theory, but it's not a theory.
I put it in a book.
It actually happened. It actually happened, and these are things. It's like I have come to the realization as I've gotten older that everything that we do is inspired by. I mean, this country was founded on slavery, and a lot of things, a lot of with gun control and police, a lot of that comes out of people trying to suppress slaves. And if we don't understand that as a people, not just Black people, but everyone involved, you can't just push it under the rug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's your Chasing DNA and Family Roots episode.
Yeah. So with that, I have 3 parts where I interview Dina Chasen, who is a genealogist, and we go over my DNA root. So I took the Ancestry, one of the more popular tests, and I gave her my profile, so to speak, and we went over it. And I was telling her when I first was trying to do it, we want to find our roots. We want to find out where we're from in West Africa. Well, I'm expecting 1 or 2 countries, 3 at the most. I got like 8 African nations. And and of course that leads into a whole thing about trading and as you go along the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And so it's like so now I'm more confused than ever. And then so it's like one of the things with those tests, when you decide that you want to do those tests, are you getting more answers or more questions? So now I have more questions.
Yeah. But then did you have a split? Like, you had the Black part of your family and the white part of your family? Like when I took it, of course, my family goes off into Italy, my mother's side, and the African side, my father's side. And we had Nigeria and Benin and the Congos and all of that stuff. And then you look at the other side, Italy and some other parts of Europe.
Yeah, so I had
it's really amazing.
So I had Nigeria, Senegal, and Mali was thrown in there, which is kind of interesting. But when you think about it, because my last name is Valteau.
Was it French?
That's French. And so you look at some of the countries, it's where the French settled. And then the European side, it was England. There was even some Scandinavian people in there. But France is obviously the most.
Right.
So that I wasn't I mean, it's good to know all that other thing, all those other countries. But that was really wanted to do.
No,
but one thing, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we'll come back to it, but they're going to wrap me in a little bit, so I wanted to get a couple of other things in there. But yeah, it's amazing to go back and follow your DNA, and I'm sure we're going to check on what you're doing with the DNA and Family Roots episode, and that's going to be amazing to a lot of people. So you'll tell us where to go to get all of that information. But can you speak about briefly your contributions of producing the Black Kung Fu Chick?
So I am one of the producers of the Black Kung Fu Chick, and just quickly to sum it up, it is about a young girl who lives in South Central LA or South Los Angeles, is what we're now calling it, and she wants to be a doctor. She runs into a little bit of trouble. She needs a little help, and then she meets this Chinese American teacher who will help her out. And this series, it's basically, what's important about it is that it's about regular people. When people hear about South Los Angeles, they're thinking, oh my God, the gang, all this other crazy stuff. But what people don't realize is that many people in these neighborhoods are just regular people. And that's what it really is about. It's about a normal girl who has these dreams and she wants to see them through.
Wonderful. Where can we go to get all this information?
You can go to my website, which is undergroundmagnolia.com. Undergroundmagnolia.com.
Undergroundmagnolia.com. Desiréia Valteau, thank you so much for sharing that information with us. And we want to just tune in and check out some of the things that you're doing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, good stuff. Great work. Thank you. Thank you for all that you're putting in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Desiréia Valteau, host, writer, and producer, Underground Magnolia Podcast. We'll take a break right here, but Bobby C is up next with the latest in the world of sports. Don't move a muscle.
Last time on the show, we got a chance to sit down here in the Sports Corner with Emmanuel Barbari as he talks about his new post as the new voice of the Hudson Valley Renegades. Here's part 2 of that interview.
I was thinking maybe we could kind of overreact this morning because Yankees take 2 of 3 from their rivals, Boston, on the opening weekend at the stadium. And the Mets, of course, doing pretty well, too, out in our nation's capital in D.C. They take 3 out of 4 from the Nationals. Buck Showalter and company looking pretty good. I mean, is this the year, E-Man, when we see another Subway Series here in New York?
It's possible. I feel like the question gets at least broached at the beginning of every year, whether it could be that repeat, whether the Yankees and the Mets completely come to fruition and kind of lock heads at the end of the season. I think this year has a better chance than a lot of the recent years. I may have said that a few times over the past few years and been wrong about it, but I think this time around, viably with the Mets, you have the right man in charge in Buck Showalter. You have the pitching to do it, especially if Jacob deGrom comes back and it's Jacob deGrom. And there seems to be a different connectivity with that Mets team, getting runners on, getting them in, and a different unity that was brought about maybe by all those hit by pitches over the weekend against Washington. You see Buck Showalter leading the charge out of the dugout. So very high on what the Mets can achieve this year, especially if the pitching pans out. And then with the Yankees, I think it's like recent years. You expect them, especially with the expanded playoff format this year, to punch a ticket, get to the playoffs once again. And then it's kind of a wait and see mode. Do you get Garrett Cole rolling at the right time in the playoffs? Do you get timely hits when you desperately need them? And I think Josh Donaldson, as you saw on opening day, could be a big lift for this team, just giving that psychological edge that maybe they've lacked the last 2 years.
It was so funny to see so many people tweeting out about how, Donaldson, of course, has had some issues with Garrett Cole in the past. Yankees seem to squash that when they bring him in, the former MVP. And at the end of the day, it was Donaldson that ends up picking up Cole on opening day.
Yeah. Funny storyline there, how that was the question. And then Cole starts opening day. Donaldson bails him out, essentially. I think they're proving that as long as Donaldson gives the offense what they need in terms of that edge, and Cole is Cole, winning's going to heal a lot of those past wounds.
I said on the show, first walk-off Yankee home opening win in over 60 years. And again, I mean, I think the best part of opening day, the best part of April, are usually, this time of year. I know we had the lockout, so we're kind of starting a week later, but best time of the year for baseball fans, because everybody starts out from square one, and just that kind of renewed hope, kind of like how spring seems to be for most of us, that there is that chance. There's that chance that we can win a World Series.
Yeah. I know I was texting a few friends just kind of with those hopes and dreams after the first couple of games of the season. You see Anthony Rizzo get off to a red hot start, just the perfect Yankee, it seems, since he came over at the trade deadline last season, and the perfect guy to re-up, re-sign, especially on a short-term deal. Seems like the Yankees could end up getting a steal out of the Rizzo contract. And it just seems like the right guy with that right field porch at Yankee Stadium, championship DNA, coming from the Cubs, where he won as a lifelong Cub. And after those first two games, with that extra maybe it factor with the Yankees coming in, you start to, with that clean slate, that blank canvas, start to hope and dream, hey, maybe this could be the year that the Yankees get off the schneid for the first time in 13 years.
These last 2 years, of course, have been very interesting times, E-Man. I mean, we had you very first on the show as a college student that had pretty much seen their junior year at that time kind of wiped away by the pandemic, things put on pause. Then you got a chance to come back on the show at FUV and in BronxNet to talk about what it would be like to kind of get going again and finish up your senior year. And I think, thankfully, we've kind of turned a corner when it comes to the pandemic. And I also think there's been a lot of progress in a lot of ways when it comes to the real world, which is a good thing, of course. I think we're seeing it also in the sports world. And one of those headlines the last couple of weeks has come courtesy of the Yankees, and that is Rachel Balkovec, who has made some news in the minor league system. I figured I would get your perspective on that, because I was pretty excited to see that news.
Yeah, really incredible. And I think the overarching takeaway has been, I heard it talked about, I like that they did a segment about it on Sunday Night Baseball. I think it was the seventh inning, where they were talking about different things they saw throughout the week. And they mentioned what happened with the Tampa Tarpons and making history. And everyone shared the sentiment in that she's not only groundbreaking in the sense that she's the first at that level to do what she's doing, leading a professional baseball team within the Yankees organization, no less, but her credentials are profound. The experience checks every box that you would have hoped for, stepping in to that big league dugout. So you can see that the respect commanded across the game is so huge. And I think it's a perfect, like we talk about those glass ceilings. It's a perfect person to lead the way and to show that it can be done. And now that she's done it, especially with those credentials and checking all those boxes, it shows you can forge a similar career as a young lady and really make your way what's been a male-dominated sport.
It's taken too long, but it's, like I said, very happy to see that there's been some progress in some different areas. And also pretty cool that she gets a chance to manage Jason Dominguez, because that's another up and coming star for the Yankees.
Yeah, I feel like he's been talked about for 3 years now. And a lot of that talk began before he even started playing with the Yankees, just with the hype, the demeanor, knowing what he can become, the immediate comparisons to Mickey Mantle, if we're going to go that far, in the Jeff Passan article. But yeah, he looks the part. And I'm even seeing tweets the last few days with his games down in Tampa, where, the ball's leaving his bat at 109, 110 miles an hour. So he seems to be another one of those exit velocity type kings, and someone who could, if things pan out, make a pretty quick trip through the system. He's 19 years old, but we've seen, I'd make the direct comparison, not to put too high of a bar on him, but Juan Soto came up at 19 years old. So could Dominguez be up by age 21, age 22? I could see that for sure. So I think this year will be a big one in terms of how he performs in Tampa. Maybe he gets up to Hudson Valley. And then once you get to the high A, double A phase, you're pretty much knocking on the door.
And speaking of young players, I think that are making some strides, but shifting gears in terms of sports, I know you got a chance to call some Fordham games against Dayton when Obi Toppin was a star there. It's taken them a little bit of time with the Knicks, but now that they're out of it and they're giving them a chance to play, Toppin looks like the real deal. Your thoughts on Obi Toppin?
Yeah, the biggest difference late in the season, which has kind of been jaw-dropping, is the 3-point shot. And he always had it, but it wasn't necessarily something he unleashed or hit consistently. And if he can do that, the athleticism has always been there. It's always spoke for itself. Always been a big fan of what Toppin can do, and he's a guy who electrifies a crowd with his athleticism, the oohs and ahs. So I think what the Knicks have tapped into, maybe not as okay, let's just roll the band back together and start quickly Toppin and all the young guys next season. I'm sure there will be some changes to be made, but you think twice about some of those midseason talks about, oh, who are we dealing off? Which of this young core are we dismantling when the season was a disappointment for the most part? I think Quickly and Toppin are making bids. They're making cases for, hey, if you give us some run over 80, 82 games, maybe they could turn into some of those franchise pieces that the Knicks have been longing for. You just look at their stat lines in that home finale back to back, and you're like, this could be the future. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Knicks approach that, because the future of Julius Randle may coincide with how much run those guys get next year and what the team looks like.
Well, yeah, man, it's great to talk future stars with a future star. I appreciate you taking some time on the show. It's always awesome to see you.
I appreciate it, Bobby. Always nice to see you too, and appreciate the kind words.
Absolutely. I mean, hope springs eternal. We got your career on the rise. I feel like the Yankees and Mets are doing pretty well. It's great to see Obi Toppin playing well. The Nets, of course, in the postseason, even the Rangers clinching, maybe have a shot at the Stanley Cup. Good times here on the show. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, great time of year.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You're watching Open. Thanks for hanging out with us. Our final guest is a multidisciplinary artist and improviser. She's with us today to speak about how she uses various art mediums to connect with her audience and promote upcoming projects. So please welcome to the show, Bonita Oliver. Bonita, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this very much.
Tell us about all the wonderful things that you're doing. Give us an overview.
Okay, so yes, as mentioned, I am a multidisciplinary artist, and over the past couple of years, since 2020, since we've all had to make many shifts in our lives, I'm sure, I shifted into the virtual realm, meaning virtual reality, augmented reality. For me, creating immersive, interactive works of art, performance art, has been my chosen medium. And with things going into closed down, shut down, not being able to see people in person, I tried to figure out a new way to create these immersive, visceral experiences where people can have real human connection.
And you figured it out. You figured it out.
This is the way I'm working it out. Yes, through virtual reality. And so Nadhege Ptah, who I believe you have also on the presentation, she is just a remarkable human being, an actress.
Love her so much.
And she
give her a virtual hug for us, okay?
Yes. And she's amazing. And she took part in my most recent virtual reality and my very first virtual reality production called Seeking Truth, which was a VR exhibition, which included film, art elements, sound, and historical document presented in virtual space in alt space VR. And so that exhibit is still running, and you can actually join me for a tour if anyone happens to catch this. I'm having another tour in May. I believe the date is May 10th, but I can get back to you with that information. And it's dedicated to Sojourner Truth.
Oh, yeah. I like it. I have her in this book. I keep bringing this book up because every time somebody talks about somebody that's in this book, I bring it up. It's in this book. She's in here.
Yes. And I love Sojourner Truth because, honestly, I learned about her in high school. We learn about Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman. And I, for the longest time, just kind of saw them as this duo, not really going deep into the details of Sojourner's life and the reason why she is so important to our history. And in 2020, early 2020, before the shutdown, I did a performance with a composer, Tim Kaya, and it was also dedicated to Sojourner Truth. And doing my research for that, I began to uncover more about her life and how powerful this woman was, how much she directed her image and her voice with very, very high integrity, a high level of integrity. And, she was so savvy. She was so strategic in the way she presented her message. So I wanted to highlight that. I wanted to go deeper into who this woman was as a strategist, as a mother, as well as an activist, and as a spiritual being who is just deeply connected with her own power through her connection with the divine. So this exhibition is just really going deep into who she was, looking at the discrepancies that we have about her history. Because most of us come to know Sojourner through the "Ain't I a Woman" speech, which we know today through some of the modern writings about her that she probably didn't even say that. That speech was transcribed by two different people. The latter transcription by Frances Gage is the one that we've come to know. And Frances Gage definitely, yes, I see the image that you're holding up. She definitely took liberties, changing some of the details of Sojourner's life and changing the vernacular of it so that it would be more palatable for the audiences she was trying to reach. And so I wanted to address that in this exhibition, and that's what I hope I've done. And many people, have come and experienced it and left with more curiosity about who Sojourner really was, and a sense of empowerment too, about how important it is to have integrity in our message, in our words, and the way we represent ourselves.
How do you describe your performance art approach? And what do you want the audience to take away from viewing your art and your work?
I describe my approach as highly improvisational. I'll have a concept. And I start with the concept, but I'm never married to anything. It's very mutative because I serve the needs of the moment, and I am always in relationship with the audience. Again, I invite participation and interaction, so I will adapt in the moment. And that is with my live in-person performances, as well as in this VR world that I'm creating. And the next piece that I'm creating is an augmented reality guided tour, which people will be able to access from their phones by visiting historical landmarks dedicated to Sojourner Truth. People will be able to receive information about these historical landmarks, and they will engage with a bit of an interactive performance. And I won't explain any further than that because it's still in process.
This is all a part of the hyperverse. What would you call this technology?
So this is all extended reality,
extended reality.
Augmented reality, virtual reality. And now people are creating experiences that can be unlocked as non-fungible tokens. You purchase an NFT. It's like an entry to, you can use an NFT as a ticket that can unlock an experience. People are building on the blockchain, buying virtual land, creating virtual reality spaces on the blockchain.
This is a language we've never heard before, but go ahead.
Oh.
This is great, though. This is great. Do you have more of this on your website?
So it's coming. I'm actually building a virtual reality website so that people will be able to engage with the website in a way that's more interactive and immersive.
So how do we find out more about you right now?
So my current website is simply bonitaoliver.com. And, but eventually that's going to fade. I'm going to have a website that is launched on bonitaoliver.nft.
Yes.
So, and I'll let people know, via my website when that new website is coming. So
excellent. You make sure you make that connection there so we can just ride with you from that to the next. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thank you for your interest in this. And I just think this is such a huge opportunity. We're at this moment in time where, this space is being built. It's just it's a nascent space. We're molding it right now, and we bring who we are into the metaverse. The metaverse will be what we make of it. So whatever we are imagining, whatever we want to see in this world, in this extended reality that we're creating, we can build it now because everybody's kind of learning together. It's so new that nobody is really an expert because it's still being discovered what the possibilities
I like it. And you know what? We're gonna latch on to you. Give me your website one more time because we need to get there to connect when you make the other one to connect to the other one. Give it to me one more.
Yes, sure. Yes. BonitaOliver.com. Just my first and last name.com.
Yeah.
That's
Bonita.
My website.
Thank you so much. BonitaOliver.com. Multidisciplinary artist, improviser. We appreciate you and we love you and thank you. Thank you for coming on. And you're always welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. I definitely want to update you on one more thing. There is a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization that I am now a part of called the Black History DAO. So I will want to update you on that.
Okay.
You should know about that one.
Thank you so much. Are they going to cut us right quick? Unfortunately, that's all. But thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's show. Thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for letting us share in this space and time with you. I want to thank our BronxNet team for putting it all together and working hard. And always remember this, what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice, so let your choice control the chooser. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee, and I'll see you over 107.5 WVLS. I love you all. Peace.